This border war, fans called it Moonshine Throwdown. I think that's the best rivalry name, an unofficial name, but the best rivalry name I've come across.
Yeah, unofficial that should become official soon enough.
Embrace it.
Green keeps it himself, looking for the end zone. Isaiah Green, touchdown! Quarterback keeper for 17, and Marshall back up by 2 touchdowns.
Story toward Jackson, got separation to the 20, to the 10, and he will go. Lucky Jackson from 54 yards out. After a Western Kentucky record 16 catches a week ago, he gives the Hilltoppers the early lead today.
Pressure off the edge. Screen delivers. What a catch for Levias, who brings it in. Armani Levias to the house. Touchdown, Marshall.
And will 46 come on the field? Yes, he will. Corey Munson, the freshman, the true freshman out of Warner Robins, Georgia. As long as 48. This will be from 52 yards. From the far hash mark, John Haggerty, the punter, will hold. Jared Nash will snap it. It's definitely long enough. It is good! Unbelievable. The true freshman, Corey Munson, hammers it home from 52 yards. What a clutch kick there to win the ball game.
All right, welcome back to the Moonshine Throwdown podcast. Position group breakdowns continue for the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Steven is here with me, and we are going to talk about the, pretty stacked unit, the Western Kentucky Special Teams unit. They're returning basically everybody with the exception of the long snapper on the punt side of things. So, let's get into it. Returning all-conference punter John Haggerty, who's now a senior. Billed as one of the top punters really in all of G5 and in the country. He's getting a lot of pub from a lot of outlets, and I expect as the season goes along, a lot more of those outlets will take notice. He's an absolute stud, the 6'5", 230-pounder. Kind of seems like he could be league bound. I don't know what the NFL is about those Aussie-style punters or not style, Aussie punters. Ones from Australia, they just seem to like them. Of course, Corey Munson returns, place kicker. He's now a sophomore. Played a lot, actually pretty much the whole season as a true freshman. Struggled as you might expect a freshman to do, but really, the way he ended the season says it all. So got to like what you got there in Corey Munson. And then we'll talk about some few other odds and ends and positions as we go along. So, Steve, glad to have you finally back on the show. I know the folks in the BGKY area and the Toppers fan base have missed your insight and analysis these past couple of weeks. It's kind of been herd heavy for a little while, but hey, life gets in the way. We know how it is. So glad to have you back. Let's talk Topper special teams. Like I said, the units pretty much return. Punters, kickers, kickoff specialists, all that good stuff. So where do you want to start? What do you like most about the 2020 unit going in? Where do you think the weaknesses, if any, lie? Because really we looked at it, we've been talking about it a little bit, and it's pretty complete with the exception of the long snapper, who looks like that position will get filled with a graduate transfer from, I think you mentioned, the University of Michigan. So I guess you're feeling pretty good about that too. So let's talk about the special teams, man. Lay it on me here.
Yeah, it feels pretty good to have most everybody back. All conference punter John Haggerty, really kind of stepped in and filled a big void for us last year, helped us flip the field a lot. Voted a first team all conference preseason this year. So, hopefully he can piggyback on his performance last year and continue to kind of be that game changer and help us with the field position battle when we're unable to convert first downs. And then on the other side, Corey Munson kicking. We did bring in a transfer kicker from Iowa that was recently deemed eligible this year. So that may open up a little competition for kicking, though I think Corey will, be the field goal guy. I wouldn't be surprised to see. I think his name was Braden. I wouldn't be surprised to see him be the kickoff guy. Even though Munson, if I'm not mistaken, he had 33 touchbacks last year, so he's got a big leg. We know he ended the year strong, winning the bowl game on his leg. He was just very inconsistent. 17 out of 28 on field goals. Just kind of spraying the ball all over the place at times. But having your two main guys back is huge. The long snapper position, like we said, it sucked losing Jared Nash. But then when we pick up a grad transfer from Michigan, Matt Beldick, it's nice to just be able to plug somebody right in and not have to worry about that. Because if you can't get the ball back there to kick it, we've seen the follies that happens if it goes over your head or something. So it is a good, strong unit. As long as we can continue to see improvement on the field goal side, we should be solid, as a special teams unit in whole.
Yeah, you mentioned long snapper. That's I'm looking at the roster here. I'm thinking that's Matt Baldeck, the 6', 220-pounder redshirt junior. In the bio there on WKU Sports, it says Lewiston, Idaho, Lewiston High School, Michigan. So I'm guessing that's the graduate transfer that should be stepping in. There is another long snapper on the roster, but it's a freshman from Nashville, Tennessee, Jake Bowman. So we'll see actually how that works out. But you got to think the grad transfer doesn't transfer in and not play. You mentioned transfer kicker. It's Braden Narveson. He comes from Iowa State. I don't really I think at the time when they announced that they had that, I looked at the stats, and there wasn't a whole lot of stats as far as the stat line goes at Iowa State. So I don't know really what his specialty is or how he's going to fit in, but you could be right on the money with him being the kickoff specialist. If he does just as good a job as Munson does, why not save some of those kicks throughout the season so Corey doesn't have to wear the leg out as much and can focus on the field goal kicking? And, you're right. But like I said in the lead in, you're going to expect some struggles from a freshman kicker. And it reared its ugly head several times. And he had an up and down year. But at the end, nailing a career long in the bowl game to win the bowl game, a walk-off kick. What more can you ask for? It doesn't get any more high pressure than that for a true freshman in a situational kick. And, he nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. So I think Western and on the kicking side of things, the punting side of things, they might be the number one unit in the conference when it's all said and done at the end of the year. And you mentioned that John Haggerty was preseason all-conference. Yeah, he's preseason special teams player of the year, not just first-team all-conference. And let's go backtrack here and let's see where Phil ranks this unit. Special teams unit for Western Kentucky is ranked third behind Southern Miss and North Texas. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But as far as Phil Steele's all preseason all-conference USA team, punter John Haggerty lands on the first team, and really that's kind of it. I can't believe Corey Munson doesn't land on there somewhere, but we'll see. The numbers will speak for themselves at the end of the season. So on the return side of things, how's the kick return unit looking? Who do you expect to see returning kicks for the Tops? Some of the same usual suspects from last year, or from what you've heard, is somebody new kind of grabbing onto the role?
Yeah, I think we'll see some familiar faces back there. I think Roger Cray will still be back there. Jaquez Sloan. Who else do we have back there? Dayton Wade. Some of those little speedy guys that we have that can. Oh, and Garland LaFrance, can't forget him. I think those guys will be the main guys back there, unless there's an incoming freshman or redshirt freshman that I'm unaware of. I think those will be the main guys taking kicks. We did have Clayton Bush back there last year, but he's transferred out to Southern Illinois, and obviously won't be returning punts this year.
Yeah. Well, at least you got some familiar faces that you expect to see. You never really know who's going to dazzle in those punt returner and kick return positions. So it's nice to have a lot of guys that can, perform up to a high level when it comes to that. So speaking of punt returners, who do you think is going to get the nod there?
I mean, I'm not going to be surprised if it's Garland LaFrance and Roger Cray. I mean, I think those would be the two main guys back there. Both have experience fielding kicks, and they both have the speed to break open play if something does develop, good blocking. So I think it'll be those guys that we've seen before and have experience back there.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's a solid unit. I think you're going to just see more of the same of what you saw last year, except maybe to a higher level. I mean, it's kind of hard to improve upon John Haggerty's almost 46 yards per punt, but we'll see if that happens to increase. We know he's got a big, strong, powerful leg. I don't know, man. It seems like everywhere you look on this Western roster, unit by unit, they're just better than they were last year. So I can't really say that this team or this unit will be any worse whatsoever because everybody's back and everybody's a year more experienced. And again, even if the train goes off the rails, you potentially have everybody back again for the next year, thanks to the NCAA's ruling that everybody gets an extra year of eligibility. So I don't know. I mean, who do you think is the biggest loss off of this unit? We'll go ahead and ask these questions, and we'll get to the bottom line of where you're really feeling. Who's the biggest loss from last year?
I mean, it's definitely Jared Nash. I mean, that long snapper position is kind of overlooked and doesn't really get the credit that they deserve because it's just expected that you're going to have a clean exchange back there. But it's really a tough kind of high-pressure situation, to get that ball cleanly to your kicker, but it does stink that he's gone and has transferred out. But luckily we do have another guy that stepped in, a grad transfer from Michigan, that will fill that role. So Jared Nash is the biggest loss, but I feel like we'll still be okay in that department as far as getting the long snaps off to the kicker.
Yeah, I'm with you. It would be a completely different animal if you were having to entrust a true freshman or something like that, but you got a graduate transfer who's probably snapped a ton of balls in high pressure situations on the biggest of stages when you talk about somebody coming from the Michigan Wolverines. All right, so who do you think, with everybody basically back, who's going to be the breakout player? I mean, is John Haggerty going to put a few more yards on the average? Is Corey Munson going to be the guy and improve that field goal percentage or set a couple of new career highs, or is it going to be one of these punt or kick returners? Who's going to be the breakout player?
Yeah, I mean, I fully expect, especially with a graduate transfer kicker coming in, I think that Corey Munson is going to get pushed and come to a new level. I think we're going to see a little bit more consistency in his kicks, a little bit of improved accuracy. Hopefully he's been working on the strength of his leg. And that career long will have a chance to be pushed out if needed in a game situation. So I think Corey Munson is going to step up, take that step forward as you would expect a second-year kicker that started his entire freshman year. I think he's going to take the step forward and be just more reliable for us on that part of the game.
Yeah, if we knew for sure who was going to be kick return guys or punt return guys, then, maybe I would feel more comfortable picking somebody from that area. But right now I have, for no other reason other than the reason you just said, to also pick Corey Munson because, I mean, you got to think you're going to improve upon 17 out of 28. I can't see him missing 11 kicks again. So you got to think the percentage is going to improve. And, we speak to different folks around the sports world, and one of the guys we speak to is really in tune with the top kickers and punters and long snappers and stuff in the country. And I remember talking about Corey Munson with him last year, and he was high on the toppers being able to get him and lock him down. And he came in and did a pretty good job. And we were talking not too long ago, and he said that he still fully believes that Corey Munson was one of the best signed kickers in that class last year. So Topper fans should expect nothing but bigger and better things from Corey Munson for this year and the next 2 years. All right, how about who are you most excited to see out this unit in 2020?
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of our kick returners. I think we've really have stepped back up kind of to the place we were when Brom was around and had, the number one special teams unit in the nation. We just had a good scheme blocking. We always had good, exciting returns. I think in 2018, we're the number 120 unit. Last year, we went up to number 55. So I'm not going to be surprised if we break into, that top 25 to 30 range. So we've got to have more exciting, bigger returns on kickoffs, whether that's Garland LaFrance, Jock Sloan. I'm just going to kind of pick our return group as a whole. I think schematically they're going to be stronger. It's another year together. And I just expect that whoever gets the ball in their hand is going to be put in position to make a play and flip the field a little bit and give us a shorter field for the offense.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to say? Kick return unit is where it's at, I guess. That's really the only big question mark. I'm kind of actually most excited to see John Haggerty and see him build upon the year that he put out last year, which was pretty darn phenomenal. I think the Toppers have a real gem here, and when it's all said and done at the end of the season, and once we go through the NFL process and all that stuff, he could very easily be, the only punter drafted or one of the only punters drafted because, not too many of them get drafted every year. But this dude has just got a massive leg, and at 6'5", 230, boy, he's got the NFL build. So who do you think is going to be the MVP this year when it's all said and done?
Yeah, I saved Haggerty from my most excited to see just because I try not to repeat them. Yeah. But it's going to be Haggerty. I think he's a game changer, like you said, potential pro prospect. Just really huge for us with his leg to be able to flip the field, for almost 46-yard average. I expect that to be in the same neighborhood this year. If he can increase it, great. But, that's kind of asking a lot already at that range. But whenever we have to utilize him, I think having a guy back there that can flip the field and had a lot of balls. I think it was 15, 16, 18 balls inside the 20, something like that. So just, sticking a lot of balls down, putting the opposing offenses at a long field situation. So definitely think it's going to be Haggerty, all conference special teams guy, player of the year as a punter. That's, a big accomplishment, even just on paper to begin the year. And I think his leg will back it up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like you. I don't mind to repeat guys. And I think for sure when at the end of the season, it's going to be John Haggerty will be the ultimate MVP of this unit. So, I mean, we've said everything there is to say about the guy, and you're right. He had 18 kicks inside the 20. I mean, you duplicate that or even a little bit more, just a handful more, and you're really talking about an probably underappreciated weapon from a game in, game out perspective that can absolutely win you a game or two when you really, really need to get that 3 and out and put yourself in a short field position. Those inside the 20s kicks really help. All right, so how about a hot take for this unit, and then we'll begin to close it out.
Yeah, I think hot take. I think Haggerty as a punter will be in the top 10 in the nation in kick average, and to kind of piggyback on that, you've mentioned it. I've kind of mentioned it. I think he will get an NFL chance. I think he'll. Even if he doesn't get drafted, I think he'll get a team invite and have a chance to make a roster, but not going to be surprised if he gets drafted. He's got the size and the leg for it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, an NFL shot is probably already in the cards. I guess, these guys really can't find good enough punters or enough good punters and enough good kickers. So if you can do it, they'll find you. But I'm going to go a step, not really a step further, but on par with you. You say top 10 in net yardage. I'm just going to go ahead and say that he's going to be a Ray Guy finalist at the end of the season or whenever they, announce that. I think he's going to have that strong of a season that he will be one of the final 3 or 4 guys in contention for that award. And, depending on how the breaks go, he could find himself winning that thing if he has a consistent enough season. So how about some final thoughts we'll get out of here on the special teams unit for 2020?
Yeah, I mean, again, I feel like it just kind of repeats ourselves from every other group we've done, but it's just nice to have a solid, cohesive unit back. Just of guys who they are, what they're bringing to the table, what to expect from them, and even at that, to expect improvements from what they already did last year. Really kind of put you in an optimistic feeling for that position group and obviously for the team as a whole. So, really excited for this group, a bunch of good athletes, student athletes, and, think they're going to help us win some ball games with their collective talents.
Well, I mean, I can't say anything really negative about this. The only question mark that you have is filled by a graduate transfer. Everybody else is basically back. So you got to think another year, another off season, another strength and conditioning program, all that good stuff, even fighting, all the weirdness and wildness of the virus. When it comes down to it, I just like what these guys bring to the table. So it's not going to surprise me to see Western Kentucky near the top at the end of the season in the conference in all the major special teams categories, or most of them. And then, like I said, I think you have a Ray Guy finalist caliber punter and a kicker who's, poised to break out to a larger level than he did last year. So, I mean, I know this is a relatively short episode, but hey, there's not a lot to talk about when you're just doing one position group. But hey, we're going to get out of here. But we're going to come right back at you, and we're going to be talking about Western Kentucky quarterbacks, which is the position that everybody's been waiting for. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the coaching staff, and we'll get Moff's season predictions for 2020 as we look forward to Louisville in just about a week. So, Steve, go ahead and take us out of here, and then we'll close it out this week and come back here just in a couple of days with the quarterbacks and coaching staff.
All right. Go Tops.
Go Herds. We'll see you next week. It's the Moonshine Throwdown podcast. Later.